Welcome to the September 19th Eclipse OpenJ9 community call. As always, please add your name and affiliation to the list of attendees, and we'll jump into our usual agenda. If there's something you want to add in, feel free to chime in at any point and we'll tackle that then, or you can add things into the any other business section. We don't have a lightning talk scheduled. If you'd like to give one, reach out to me, we'll get it set up. But let's take a look at the recent end user issues and see what's come in since the last one of these calls. Looks like we've had more come in the last week than usual. Question about the Java object layout tool. Some issues with compressed oops. There is one on here that I wanted to call out, and that's this one: to accept OpenJDK option to use G1GC to enable the start of Elasticsearch. Pete, do you know if people are already looking at this?
I think we already accept the option. The problem is they use print flags final to confirm the option set, and we don't include it in print flags final.
We don't include the ones we've ignored.
Well, I think we only include like a couple of things in print flags final because the whole thing was added to maybe support Elasticsearch in the past.
Do we know what Elasticsearch is looking for with why they're trying to restrict only the G1 GC? Like, has anyone had a conversation with them about this?
I suspect others have, maybe people not on this call. There's a bunch of information in that issue.
Yeah. Yeah, when I had looked at it earlier, it looked like they were explicitly or unwilling to change this when Azul had contacted them based on the discussion here, which surprised me a little bit.
So I have a meeting about this tomorrow, I think.
Okay, so this is getting the required level of attention then. So
I expect so, yeah.
All right. Anything else in this list that we should talk about this week? All right, then we'll jump back to the agenda. The 041 release. We had talked about some delays on the M1 builds. It looks like we've had those published and triaged, so it sounds like we're hopefully in a good spot from the M1 builds.
Yeah, there was I think these two JIT issues are due of each other. There was another one, but it just got moved out. So we'll see if we can get a fix for this one or not.
Okay. And I assume the revisit disabled test can be moved out.
I think so. Is Lan on this week?
I don't see her.
Maybe I'll just move it out.
Okay. All right, so that sounds like we're in a pretty reasonable spot coming up on the M2 build next week. So, any concerns with the 041 release at this point?
Nope. There is an OpenSSL update. They just released 3011 this morning, I think. It hasn't even been announced in their news page. So we'll be updating to that.
Okay. All right, then I guess we can jump up to the JDK 21 release. still a fair number of items in that list. So why don't we tackle it by looking at Cheng? What's the outlook for FFI at this point?
So far, I already, in terms of the down call, I already verified the most of the test case, which works good on x86 64-bit. So on Linux and Mac, not yet. Double check. I need to double check what happens on Windows, and there probably be a little bit issues on other platform like Par or Linux, which is something might be related to the code issues. So I need to a little bit more investigation out there.
And you said that's the down call. Is there
Yeah.
up call?
About what based on what I learned from up call so far, I already tried on the Linux on x64-bit, which seems to work good. That means if everything's work good, that means there's no workload in up call, but I need to take a little bit time to look at to see if there's anything else. So far, everything looks promising to us.
So you think this will complete by the end of September?
I hope so. I will try.
Okay. Jack, how does Loom look?
So currently there are about 15 issues related to Loom. I think 3 or 4 of them are duplicate of each other. So they should be resolved in one of the changes for all 3, 4. Currently, there are only, I think, 3 actual JT-Reg related test failures that are remaining. And those ones, I believe 2 of them Babnit is looking into, and 1 of them I'm looking into. The one I'm looking into, I'm confident it will be fixed by end of September. So JVM-TI issues, I have discussed with Babnit about the potential fix for a few of them. There are a couple intermittent ones that we are having difficulty reproducing locally on x86. So those ones, I don't have a firm timeline in terms of when we'll be able to get those fixed. Babnit, do you have any updates on those JVM-TI related ones?
Actually, I just have numbers. Like out of the 30, I think I see 6 will be closed this week, and more will be closed next week. So it looks pretty optimistic. And the ones which Jack mentioned are intermittent. We haven't seen them since the issues were open. So I think we can probably run a grinder and see if they're worth moving to the next release.
Okay. Do you expect to have the Loom work wrapped up by the end of September?
All consistent failures, as my previous update, all consistent failures should be resolved by end of September. Intermittent ones unlikely, but we'll still have some few more weeks left after end of September where we can still look for the still look at those intermittent failures. So no change from my last update. It's still the same here.
Yeah, the thing is we're trying to pull that release date in as tight as we can, right? With OpenJDK having released JDK 21 today, I believe. We're trying to minimize that delay. So when you say there's a few more weeks after that, the goal is not to use those weeks if we can avoid that, right?
Okay. Because if I look at the list, there's still, I think, 3 which are unassigned. So I wouldn't be able to give a good timeline until we exactly know what the issue is with those intermittent ones.
Okay, so it sounds like end of September is going to be awfully tight.
Yes, yeah.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Jack. Thanks, Babnit. Is it worth looking at that milestone plan at this point?
I think it will be better. It will look better next week. So next week will be a good time to look at it. The number of issues will drastically reduce.
All right. We had also talked about doing an M0 branch an M0 build. Have we been able to build that and get the triage done on it?
No, we haven't built it yet, but I did create a release branch. So not a code split because we'll push those branches forward, but we can use those branches to build M0, and hopefully that's going to happen this week.
Okay. That would be good. All right. Anything else we want to touch on for JDK 21? Okay. Then Adam, is there an update on the infrastructure?
Yeah, we've having some issues with UNB, it seems, misbehaving. It seemed like it's worse on the weekends than in the nightlies, maybe just because we're running more stuff.
Well, last night was pretty bad.
Okay. So we'll follow up on that. We did update Jenkins core and plugins and the OS just to make sure that that wasn't causing any of it. Doesn't seem like it's resolved. Other than that, there's one Z-Linux offline because of that 18008 issue, and there's a handful of P-Linux offline because of a CryU version issue. I expect the CryU version will be fixed soon because we've now fixed it inside, so outside should be next. That's about it.
All right. Any questions for Adam? Okay. No Marius, so I assume no JIT server update. Toby, is there an update for CRIU support?
No update this week.
Okay. Hung, any update for the Valhalla support? Or is Hung may not be on this week. Okay. Any other business that we want to tackle this week? Okay, then I guess we've had a short call. Thanks, everyone. We'll have the next one of these next week.
Thank you.